Welcome back to A Couple Threads. I'm Heather.
I'm Armand.
Before we get into today's stories, be sure to subscribe for new videos every single Friday. The theme for today is fake friends.
Okay, like it.
Yeah, right? All right. First story is coming from r/AITH, 2 months old, titled, Am I the asshole for telling off a friend when she charged us for dinner? I hang out with a group of friends, and in which one of them is a rather boastful influencer. She would talk about her wealth, trips, cars, boyfriends, etc., non-stop. Usually, the rest of us would just listen and not really take offense because she was just rattling on about herself. Recently, this friend snagged an extremely rich boyfriend, and she proceeded to move into his multi-million-dollar mansion.
Same.
She was so excited and posted pictures of the pool, jacuzzi, etc. She invited us to her new house and specifically said, I want to invite all of you for dinner at my new house with my boyfriend. The rest of us accepted the invitation and came to the house. All the wealth she told us about really existed, and her boyfriend was nice. He didn't say much throughout as he had paperwork to finish in his room. Soon it was dinner time. We were all hungry, and it was quite a long drive to the mansion. And suddenly, my friend took out her phone and said, Okay, I'll be ordering food and drinks from a nearby mart. Tell me what you want, and I'll get it delivered here. I thought it was strange that she was ordering food, only then, instead of having food already prepared for us as guests by the numerous maids there. No drinks was served, but we had to order them as well. The food came, it was cold, and I just ate it, didn't think much of it. The rest of the night was pretty much normal. After we left, the friend proceeded to send us a text of a detailed breakdown of the cost of the a la carte dish and drinks that we ordered, with a firm reminder to quickly transfer her the money. The first thing that came to my mind was annoyance. She gave us the impression that she would be serving us dinner at her boyfriend's multi-million-dollar mansion, but it just ended up with each of us paying for our own dinner. What sort of hostess was she? I felt that her invitation was misleading. I wasn't expecting a 10-course dinner, but social convention would imply that at least some simple food and water would be served for the guests, and the guest would not be charged. We transferred her the money, and then I sarcastically texted in the group chat saying, Oh wow, if I knew we were all paying for our individual meals, we could have met at a restaurant for dinner instead. I guess all that wealth in the house was just for show. Then I left the group chat. Since that incident, I've never hung out much with her. Am I the
The numerous maids got to me. Not even one maid, numerous maids. No, she's not. I would have also assumed, and of course it's not always good to assume, but if someone's inviting you, I would say more so to their house for dinner and drinks, I think it's acceptable to assume, like, yeah, that's going to be covered.
Yeah.
If they were going to a restaurant, a little bit different. If it's like 5-10 people,
For sure.
you know, at that point, it shouldn't matter, like, who's wealthy and who's not. That's acceptable, I would say, to split it. But
Yeah.
if you're going to someone's house that they invited you, then I would also assume that, okay, that they're treating us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. It's not even about a wealthy thing to me. I feel like it's like, if I texted my friends, hey, come over for dinner, you're coming over for dinner.
Yeah.
Like, a nice person would be like, do you need me to bring anything? But
yeah.
still, I would expect the same thing. Like, if you say, come over to my house for dinner, I'm expecting dinner. I don't know.
Yeah, and even if you ask, and if you ask them, like, hey, do you want me to bring anything, and they politely say no, you still bring something,
Right.
you
A
know.
bottle of wine or something.
Yeah,
But
especially if you're going to their house for the
Yeah.
first time.
yeah,
But no, she's in the right on this one.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's just weird. Like, why would you invite all those people over and then be like, all right, we're postmating? Like, I don't know.
I would have expected catering.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or I mean, they said there's maids there. Like
Yeah.
someone could have made some spaghetti or something.
Spaghetti. Going to a multi-million-dollar
Yeah.
house to
Hey,
eat spaghetti.
if it's free.
Fair.
Comments on this one. Overall vote is not the
Yeah, agreed.
top comment is when you are invited for dinner at someone's house, it is assumed that you will be served dinner. If the host is ordering out, they should inform you prior that you would have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with that.
Yeah.
But I just think the whole situation is weird. Like, what was going through her head when she was like, I'm going to invite all these people over, we're going to order food, and then they're going to pay me after they leave my house. She didn't even ask while they were still there. Like,
Well, like they say, common sense isn't common.
yeah,
So
true.
she just didn't think that one through, or she knowingly did it.
Yeah,
You know,
I guess.
that's lame.
Yeah. And like, okay, you guys are all home now, so money.
Here's a fat bill,
Yeah.
expedited.
Right. At that point, I would rather just go to a restaurant.
Yeah.
Next story. Also coming from r/AITH, 3 years old. Titled, Am I the for wearing a white dress to my friend's wedding? I can't believe I'm using Reddit for a wedding-related issue. I, 20 female, met my friend Charlotte, 21, when I moved into my college dorm in August of 2020. We got along well, shared ideas for how we wanted to divide space and keep things clean and organized, and had many similar interests. Within a month, we were studying and hanging out together, and I considered her a good friend. I also met her now husband, Josh, 22. They seemed like a cute, loving couple, and I was very happy when they got engaged Christmas 2020, after 3.5 years together. Charlotte has spent the last 18 months planning this wedding down to the last detail. I won't say she's obsessive, but it's been intense, and I've tried to help her the best I can with making appointments, managing stress, etc. I also gave her $250 to help her pay for the wedding. Her family can't afford to pitch in at all, which isn't included in my wedding gift I'm giving her. A month before the wedding, I was still trying to decide exactly what to wear. I wanted something nice because Charlotte said she would have a photographer, videographer, and a wedding painter. I knew Charlotte had a vision for her wedding, and I wanted her as in control as possible for all the details of her special day. So I asked her which dress out of 3 I'd narrowed it down to that I should wear. She asked if I would actually put out all my dresses, so I did. She ended up narrowing it down to one of my picks, along with a dress I had put firmly in my no pile because it was white. It was a wedding after all. She told me both dresses were lovely, but she prefers the white one. I asked if she was sure, and she said yes, and even picked out a pair of pink and white heels from her closet to go with my dress. I figured that was that. Fast forward to last week. I show up in the dress about half hour before the ceremony. I get some weird looks, but no one says anything. In hindsight, this is when I should have realized something wasn't right. When Charlotte comes out of her dressing room for some last-minute pictures, she looks shocked to see me and then starts turning red. She pulls me aside and starts going off on me immediately about wearing the dress to her wedding. I'm stunned. I asked what the problem is because she picked out the dress for me and told me it was a friendship test and that if I were a real friend, I wouldn't have worn a white dress or her shoes to her wedding. I started laughing because I honestly thought it was a joke, and she screamed at me that I ruined her wedding and to get out. I flat out told her she was crazy and left. Not wanting to fight anymore and not knowing how to deal with what happened, I grabbed my wedding gift I gave them and left. My phone has been flooded with text, voicemails, and social media notifications from her, her friends, and her family about what an asshole I am. But I honestly don't see what I did wrong. Am I really the asshole here?
No, I mean, okay, rule is, yeah, you should not wear white to a wedding that is not your wedding. Agreed. But if her friend asked her to send me pictures of the dresses, and she said I prefer the white one. At that point, like, you got approval.
Yeah.
But then coming back saying, "Oh, this is a friendship test," like, you're gonna gamble on your wedding.
No, literally.
That's your fault at that point.
Like
you should
yeah.
you should have just been straight up honest, like, hey, like, they're both nice, but I would prefer you don't wear white to my wedding.
Right.
And a normal person's going to understand that. If she wore it without showing her, then yes, she would be the.
I agree.
But she got approval.
Yeah.
Approval.
It was her idea. OP said that they had it in their no pile. Like,
Right, exactly.
what kind of twisted test is that? Like, I don't even understand how that's a test. If my friend tells me something and I do that thing and they're mad at me for doing that thing, I'm just confused.
That's just sabotage at
Yeah.
that point. But like I said, gambling on your wedding is kind of ballsy.
Yeah. Especially like something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, she's not for that.
I agree. She was trying to respect her wishes.
Yeah.
She knew that she cared enough about her wedding to ask her opinion on, hey, what should I wear?
She did say, I prefer that one. So
Yeah.
obviously she'd be like, okay, it's her wedding and she wants me to wear this. Fine.
And then being mad at her about, why are you wearing my shoes to my wedding? You gave them to me to wear. Like, that's just, I don't understand.
Weddings bring out the worst in people.
Yeah. Like, what? I just don't understand what motivates someone to do that. Like, I understand planning a wedding is stressful and like, but if your best friend texts you that, what goes through your head of like, this is a good time to test her? Like, what?
She's crazy.
Yeah.
She's crazy.
There is a small like edit.
Mm-hmm.
Edit is saying someone had commented on how if the bride is wearing white, I should at least be prepared for weird glances. The bride didn't even wear white. That was another non-traditional thing she did. Her dress was blue. Which, to each their own, but...
It's your wedding, fine, I get it. The glances I would understand, yes, because obviously the bride is not going to inform everyone like, hey, my friend's wearing white. So you could assume that, yeah, you're going to get weird glances.
For sure.
And in the end, that's up to you if you're going to address like, hey, by the way, like, I know I'm wearing white.
But like, she told me to.
We talked about this. Here's proof.
I just feel like there's like no winning in this situation because I feel like had she not worn that dress, the friend would have been like, well, this isn't the dress I told you to wear. Like
that's exactly what just crossed my mind right now, where like if she was like, okay, I'll wear the other one to be safe about it, and then she could have come back at her like, I told you to wear the other one.
Yeah. I wonder too if it's one of those situations of like, we talk about this a lot with like relationships, but if this friend was trying to stop being friends with her for whatever reason and to use
so
this
you pick your wedding to do that? You're just an idiot at that point. So do it at any other occasion. You choose your own wedding.
Yeah. I mean, that's a choice for sure.
I guess it's something.
Overall vote on this one is not the
right.
Top comment is someone who wants to test your friendship by giving bad advice and then being angry when you follow it is not someone you really want to be friends with.
Yeah.
I agree with that, you know? If she's going to do that to you, maybe it's best that we cut our ties.
Yeah.
Because who knows what she's going to do to your wedding.
Mm-hmm. She's going to purposely wear white.
Right. After you tell her no.
Either after you tell her no or without asking you.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on to our next story. This one is coming from r/2 hot takes, 6 months old, titled, My best friend accidentally sent me a text about secretly hating me. Hi everyone, I'm looking for advice or comfort as I am truly heartbroken right now. I, 20 female, and my best friend, 21 female, have been friends since high school. Now we are part of the same college and same friend group. Friday night, everyone was hanging out together like we typically do on the weekends. I had 1 drink, and my best friend had 3 to 4 drinks before we even went back to her house. Everything was totally normal. I wasn't exactly planning to stay the night, but she pleaded with me and said we could get breakfast in the morning if I stayed. I obliged, and she told me I was going to sleep alone in her room so that she could take a long distance call to her boyfriend. So, after telling each other, I love you, good night, and giving hugs, I went to sleep. About 20 minutes later, I received a text from her that read, "She's staying in the guest room, so I don't want to shit talk her too loudly." I responded with a simple, "Huh?" and received another, longer text complaining about how she just can't figure out a respectful way to get rid of me. It was probably around 2:45 a.m. at this point, but I packed up all my things and snuck out the back door. The next morning, she sent me a voice memo apologizing and saying that she was drunk and meant to text her boyfriend, but I'm just not that fun anymore, and we've grown apart. My heart is broken. It feels wrong to bring it up to anyone else in our friend, as we're all a group of friends. So I've spent the last few days grieving and trying to remind myself that I'm only 20 and can still bounce back and find new friends. Unfortunately, my 21st birthday is in a few weeks, and now I fear I won't have anyone to spend it with. I guess I'm posting this and venting anonymously online to a bunch of strangers might help. I'm not sure, but while I wait for my emergency therapy appointment tomorrow, any advice is appreciated.
So this wasn't a test. She was actually like, okay. What are you going to do? This comes down to, do you really want to be friends with someone who doesn't want to be your friend?
For sure.
I was always a firm believer in that. If I knew someone didn't want to be my friend, or vice versa, then what's the point?
No, I agree.
You move on.
Yeah.
You can make more friends.
Yeah. I think the part that I'm confused about is OP said, like, I didn't want to spend the night, and she, like, begged me to spend the night. And then for her friend to say, I'm trying to get rid of her. Like, she didn't even want to spend the night.
Who knows what kind of conversation transpired during that time?
I guess.
What was said and what was not said, and if she's still like a polite person, like her being her friend, and she's like, no, you could stay the night.
I guess, but it sounds like OP was like, no, like, I don't need to stay the night. And she was kind of like, no, please, like, we can get breakfast in the morning.
Like I said, who knows what actually was said in that conversation.
True.
But piece of advice really is, it's plain simple. You just move on.
Yeah, for sure. Especially she is young. She can find some new friends, but...
And do you really want to force a friendship, like I said, to someone who does not want to be your friend? It's not like you get meant something and like...
Yeah.
If
suddenly
she already,
things are fine.
Yeah. If she already has that perception about you, it's going to be very, very hard to change.
100%.
No.
Let's see. Comments. Top comment is, convincing you to stay, to act frustrated that you won't leave, is such strange behavior. I don't know about her normal behavior outside of this incident, but that sounds like the type of person who'll twist anything so they'll sound like they're in the wrong. Yeah.
Or she was trying to find something when she spent the night to blame her.
Possibly.
And then use that as an excuse to break up or break the friendship.
I think it's crazy that after the first accidental text and she responded with the and then she sent another one.
Well, if someone's drunk, they're probably not going to...
That's just crazy. I don't know. If I texted you something and you responded with I double check my text.
Context. Yeah, fair. Yeah, agreed.
There is an update on this one, but it's not super exciting. It's basically just like, I went back when she wasn't there to grab my things, spoke to her roommate, and roommate is taking my side rather than hers. That's about it.
There's no sides though. Like, no. I can't really say no one's in the wrong if she doesn't want to be your friend because she feels you're not fun, and then, you're going to get hurt by it, but
at the end of the day, you move on.
You move on.
Yeah. And I feel like you find some of your best friends when you're in a place of like losing other friends.
Sure, yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. Yeah. Yeah.
That's just a crazy accidental text to get at
Mm-hmm.
2:45 in the morning.
Fair.
While you're in the next room with the person too.
Yeah.
Next story coming from r/bridezillas. 2 years old. Titled, "My best friend from childhood invited me to her wedding but forgot to assign me a seat. I spent the night alone in a separate room." My childhood best friend, 23 female, got married this weekend, and I was so excited to be there and support her on her big day. I'm a chocolatier, so the bride asked me if I could create wedding favors and the dessert table. I was ecstatic to help with the wedding and went above and beyond to create a gorgeous table that was a huge hit on the day. I was told early on the wedding was over budget and to keep costs low. My boyfriend was not invited. I was extremely understanding and even reduced my rates for the suite table as my present to the couple. A couple weeks later, after reviewing the guest list, the bride informed me that my boyfriend could come as my +1, but if he did, I would be moved from the head table. My boyfriend is a wedding photographer and is looking to build his videography portfolio. Knowing that the couple didn't have a videographer, he offered to film a professional wedding video free of charge. The bride was ecstatic and offered to move us to the vendor table so that we could network with other vendors. We loved the idea, and it was confirmed that we would be sitting with all the other vendors. The day of the wedding, we arrived 4 hours early to help with the event. My boyfriend spent time filming while I set up the dessert table and helped the event coordinator set the dinner tables. After the ceremony, guests were moved to the cocktail room, while the original room was converted into the room for reception. While helping convert the room, I noticed that our names were not on the seating chart. I asked the event coordinator where we would be sitting, and she said, "Good question," and left it to find out. She came back to say that there was no vendor table, and that if we were staying for dinner, my boyfriend and I would have to sit in a separate room as we were not on the list. The room was closed off from the reception, so we couldn't hear or see anything, let alone talk to anybody. I told the event coordinator that we were in fact guests and that we should be moved into the reception room. The event coordinator herself was seated at one of the tables in the room. I told her I was a longtime friend of the bride and even originally was meant to be seated at the head table with her. However, the event coordinator said she couldn't do anything about it. I approached the bride to explain the situation. She mentioned that it was definitely a mix-up and that we should be in the room. The bride mentioned that she didn't want to undermine me as a businesswoman, so she never told the event coordinators that we were friends or that I was an actual guest. She left the coordination of the vendor table to the event coordinator and left it off with the seating chart. The event coordinator was not made aware that any of the vendors, besides herself, were staying for the reception and therefore didn't think to add us in. Although I understand the mix-up, the bride did nothing to get us moved into the main room. My boyfriend and I were cut off from the reception with no one to speak to, no way to see or hear, and even had to ask to be fed. As a result, I missed the entire wedding and spent the majority of my evening crying in the bathroom, waiting to move the dessert table into the main room after dinner just so we could leave. My boyfriend continued to film everything as he was committed to getting a beautiful video for his portfolio. The next morning, I emailed the bride about the experience. She apologized profusely and said she was scatterbrained on the day and didn't think to do anything about it. She feels extremely guilty and would still like to be friends. I would like to forgive her, but I'm extremely hurt.
That's messed up. I don't care how scattered-brained you are. I feel like your guest list is like top 5 priority.
Yeah. And I understand they're providing services, but at the end of the day, that's your childhood best friend, regardless.
Was she not part of the wedding? Like, as far
It
as...
doesn't seem like it. Like, bridesmaids, you mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it. But it does say she was supposed to be at, like, the head table with, like, closest friends and family.
That's weird. I find it a little fishy.
Yeah.
Because, okay, let's say she did get mixed up and her best friend wasn't part of the actual seating arrangement. Like, you could still change, I don't know, I feel like you could
Pull
still
up a chair.
pull up a chair or something, like change something about it. It's not
Yeah.
like it's set in stone.
Yeah. I agree. I think if it was just like a vendor, yeah, it sucks, but like get over it. But like if my childhood best friend doesn't have a spot at my wedding, she's getting my chair. Like I don't know. Like I'll be
I
standing.
feel like you'll make a spot, like
Yeah.
putting them in a separate room.
But they can't even see anything. Like why are they there
If
then?
that was the case, I would have just been pissed and just left. I'd be
Yeah.
like, screw your chocolates, I'm taking them.
My chocolate now.
And then like the boyfriend's still like
filming
filming and taking pictures and videos.
And I get he wanted it for his portfolio too, but I wouldn't be okay with that.
I find it fishy. I don't know. That's just very, very weird to me.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I have a feeling she did not want her to be a part of the wedding, like the actual reception. In a weird way. I don't know why.
Yeah. She was like, "Oh, like I don't actually want you there, but like your chocolates."
Yeah, exactly. Like, is it because she was giving her like a really good deal, and on top of that, you're getting free photography and videography?
Yeah, something's off.
Yeah, that's because I feel like at the wedding you should be able to change and accommodate 2 people.
Right. It's not like it's like 20 people or
Yeah.
even 10.
Yeah.
It's literally 2 people. Yeah.
That's off.
I do have an update.
Okay.
This was posted just like maybe a month-ish after.
Mm-hmm.
Our relationship in the past few months has mostly consisted of her blowing me off and interrupting me as though she was busy. She moved across the country 2 years ago, but flies here often. Most of the couple's friends and family still live here, which is why they decided to have their wedding here. Every time she comes to visit, we've tried to make plans, which would end up with me being blown off. The excuse was always that some last-minute thing came up, which is why she didn't have time to see me. She called me months before her engagement party to let me know that I would be invited to it, but I was never actually invited. I responded to pictures of it online, just saying, "Gorgeous," and she explained that I wasn't invited because her mother-in-law planned it and didn't know all of her friends. Moral of the story. The only time I've seen her within the past year was to do a free tasting for her wedding after she mentioned that she would not finalize her order without a tasting. We had plans to meet up the same week of the tasting, which she blew me off. I reread her apologetic email and interpreted it differently the second time. The email mainly followed the structure of excuse, but that's not an excuse. In one section, she wrote that although she would still like to be friends, she understands that I may not want to, and that's fine. To me, it seemed as though she was saying she wouldn't care if we were no longer friends or not. At the end of the email, she added, "P.S. We would still like the video, despite making it a point prior to the wedding to let my boyfriend and I know that she couldn't care less about the wedding video." Although she mentioned it in her email that she would make it up to me, I haven't heard a word from her since. I responded back to her email naively, accepting the apology the day after the wedding. I watched my boyfriend's rough edit of the wedding video this week and listened to her speech. She added a section where she thanked her friends for transcending the lines of friends and family. She called out a long list of names from the group. Mine wasn't included, which sealed the deal for me, especially since I was so involved in the preparation of the wedding that she wouldn't have just forgotten my name. Moving forward, I will be a lot more cautious with my circle, and I will definitely be more strict doing business with friends. No more paying out of pocket.
She used her then.
Yeah.
She legit used her for her chocolates
Yeah.
and videography. She didn't care that she was part of the wedding. Because that's why it was off. Like, if someone really wants you there and, like, let's say if there was a mix-up, benefit of the doubt, fine. They're going to make it happen.
Yeah. I agree.
It's not like a wedding cake where it's already baked and you can't
Right.
make a new one. It's like if they messed up on the wedding cake, it's a different flavor, whatever. Then at that point, yeah, you can't do anything. But a seating arrangement is something, I've never planned the wedding, but a seating arrangement is something you could probably change right then and there.
Especially, I feel like most weddings I've been to, like, at least 3 people aren't showing up. Like, there's at least 3 empty spots somewhere.
That's a valid point. Yeah, not 100% of people are going to show up.
Yeah.
So let's say 1 or 2 people don't show up.
Perfect, 2 spots.
Yeah.
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 It's crazy, too, that the event coordinator was like, sorry, nothing we can do, when, like, that's literally your job.
She probably told her.
Yeah.
She probably told the event coordinator.
Like, hey, I don't want them in here.
Yeah.
That's so icky.
Fake friend.
No, literally.
Yeah.
Someone you've been friends with since childhood. Like you said, weddings really bring out the worst in people. Oh, jeez. Next story, coming from R/AITH, 2 months old, titled, Am I the asshole for telling my best friend she can't do her adult content at my house? My best friend was recently kicked out of where she was living and asked if she could stay with me in this emergency situation as she had nowhere else to go right now. I instantly said yes. We moved all her furniture and bigger things into a storage unit, and she brought a few suitcases to my place. I'll be honest, at the time, I really wasn't thinking about her work situation. I knew her job was OF, that that's what she did for a living, how she makes her money, and I've never ever judged her for it. However, the following day, after the evening she moved in, I took my daughter to school and came home to do my own work. I work from home. She wandered into my kitchen at around noon and told me she had some videos she needed to make. I instantly knew what she meant by that, and I said, well, I mean, are you going to be quiet during these videos? She laughed and said, no, but you're my best friend, so I don't mind if you hear me. To which I responded with, I mind if I hear you. I'm not gonna lie, I don't feel comfortable you making those videos in my house. You can take your pics and stuff, though granted you don't do it while my daughter is home. She got a little snippy and upset with me and told me that making custom request videos was how she makes the majority of her money, and she had a bunch of requests that she needed to fulfill. I told her again, I don't feel comfortable with that specifically. She told me, wear headphones. I said, I do wear headphones because I have pretty much constant work calls throughout my day, and I can't have you moaning and screaming in the background. I ended up saying, if you can be quiet, then you can while I'm working here. And again, as long as you're not doing it when my daughter is home. She told me she won't be able to be quiet because that's not why her clients like her. So I told her, I'm sorry, girl. No, I can't have that. She's now a little pissed off at me because I'm basically stopping her from making decent money while she's staying with me till she finds a new place, and that she has nowhere else to go to do it. I feel bad, but I think my feelings and reasons are justified. Am I the...
No. When did we lose the notion of like when you're staying at someone's place, specifically when you get kicked out too, or something's going on, that you don't respect their house rules? And I'm pretty sure doing OF content will fall under respect for the household, especially when she has a daughter. Like,
And she works from home.
can you imagine on a Zoom meeting hearing moaning in the background? Like, oh, that's my cat. Jeez,
I think
man.
it would be a different situation if like she went to like an office or something for her job, because then like you can do it while me and my daughter are not home. If I don't know about it, I don't know about it.
I still wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
Like, it's my house. I don't want crap like that happening
Yeah.
at my house.
And who knows how wide of an angle we're using? Like, are you seeing my whole living room? Like,
True.
you seeing the whole house? Like,
I'll burn that bed now or whatever she's using. Unless it's my content, you know? Like, That's my prerogative. If that's my own place, then I can decide to do it or not.
Fair.
Like, the only time I would find this acceptable if, like, she's single and they're really close and she's like, yeah, do whatever. Like,
Yeah. But
okay.
that has to be a mutual agreement.
Agreed.
Like, you have to both be like, I don't care, do your thing, girl.
Yeah.
But if you, as the owner of the house, say no, then the answer is
And
no.
you get snippy with it?
Yeah. I understand you have to make money, but like, if you're making that much money, go somewhere else.
Get a hotel room.
Yeah.
Get a cheap motel.
Right.
Film all your videos in one night.
Right.
There you go. Save some money out while you're at it.
Literally.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
ridiculous,
geez.
man. Get an Airbnb or something.
Yeah. I do have an edit. Edit was posted like a week after. Just to answer the majority who have mentioned hotel room, I answered a few comments. She claims a hotel would kick her out and that if she really didn't think I would care about what she's doing as long as she didn't do it when my child is here. I genuinely thought because she does make decent money from it and had money in the bank, she just wouldn't do it in the short term, that while she's here at my place. She's actively looking for a new place to rent. She's not going to be here long term. It was just an emergency situation, and she knew I had a spare room in my house she could stay in. So I said yes because she's a very good close friend of mine. I'd like to point out that outside of her OF content, she dresses modestly and doesn't act anything like she appears online. So I don't mind her being around my child. She has known my daughter since I had my daughter 7 years ago. My daughter is not exposed to anything inappropriate around her. Just wanted to make that clear. Another point to mention, this isn't a case of her bringing people around here to have sex with them. She's just making videos for them. But those videos include a variety of things where she will obviously not be quiet. And I just don't want to have to hear it, to be honest, especially not while I'm on work calls. Also, the reason she was kicked out of her last place actually had nothing to do with her work, but it's also not relevant to my post, so I won't be disclosing her drama here.
Regardless, it's her place. If you don't want someone wearing shoes in the house and you're staying over, hey, take your shoes off. Yeah. It's my house. It's my rules. Just like a wedding for the most part. For the most part, it's their rules.
Yeah.
But house is like...
actually, like, whatever you say goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As crazy as sometimes requests can be, whatever. Like, you know me, I'm OCD as hell. You know, like...
To be fair, not to play devil's advocate here, but if I had a friend, I knew that's what they did for work.
Which friend?
Anyway, what I was saying, if they were in a situation where they needed to stay with me, and that's what I knew they were doing for work, we would be having a conversation before I said yes.
Yeah.
Because I think that's kind of on OP a little bit of like, she assumed that because you know what I do, then you're okay with it because you agreed to let me come over.
I still wouldn't put it on her. Should that
No, it's not her fault.
Yeah, should that discussion have happened before she went in? Possibly. But even if it didn't, and she comes in and she's staying and she asks her, in the end, if she says, no, I don't want you doing that here.
Yeah.
Then
that's
no.
it. Yeah. Especially if she's being nice enough to let you stay at her place. Like,
And
she doesn't even have to do that.
Which motel or hotel is going to kick you out for that? Like,
right.
The amount of stuff that goes down in motels and hotels and that you don't get kicked out of, I'm pretty sure she'll be fine. And if any reason they do kick her out, there's probably another one down the street.
Overall vote on this one is obviously not the... top comment is, she needed help and you are helping her.
Yeah.
She's disrespecting your house rules. If she makes so much money doing it, she can easily get a hotel.
Yeah.
I agree. Especially if she is like bragging about how much money she makes from it. Like, go.
You can literally, if she was using the excuse of like, oh, I would get kicked out of a hotel. You could rent a house
Yeah.
on Airbnb for like a couple $100 a night.
Even like one of those tiny homes. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't even have to be like a house.
Tiny OF.
Some people might be into it. I
guess.
don't know.
Oh man.
I know.
Well, you don't help people.
Fair. Valid. Can't argue. I have one more story today.
Okay.
Coming from r/am I the 9 months old, titled Am I the for ruining my friend's vacation? I, female 38, just got back from a vacation with my 2 longtime friends, Kate, female 40, and Mary, female 38. I've known them both since college, and we've always been close. The 3 of us had been planning this Bali trip for a few months, along with our husbands and their kids. They both have children under 5, while my husband, Jake, and I are child-free. We agreed to split the cost of a 4-bedroom villa 3 ways, and everything seemed fine at first. Jake and I arrived in Bali earlier than the rest of the group because we had different flights. Once we got to the villa, we waited to choose rooms with our friends and didn't mind when they chose the bigger ones. We had a great time during the trip. Jake and I did some couples activities, massages, hiking, dinners, but we also spent time with Kate and Mary and their families whenever it worked out for everyone. To be nice, I even surprised them with massages to give them a break. The only thing that made me uncomfortable was whenever I ordered a drink, a cocktail before dinner, or a glass of wine with meals, I'd get comments like, "Oh, you're drinking again?" For context, I'm a social drinker and I don't drink very often, but we're on vacation and I don't think it was a big deal, especially since our husbands were drinking too. I just ignored the comments so I could enjoy the trip. On the last night, Jake and I made plans with the guys to go out, and Kate and Mary said they were staying in to pack. Jake convinced me to join him and the boys, and since it was our last night on vacation, I didn't want to stay in either. We went out and we had a great time. We got home around 1 a.m. and I passed out straight after. The next morning was a bit chaotic with everyone packing and checking out, but we all made it back home without any issues. We had booked business class seats back, so we were separated during the flight and we said our quick goodbyes at the airport. A week after returning home, I got a long text from Kate saying that both she and Mary wanted to reduce contact with me because I had ruined their vacation. They mentioned several things, like me drinking every night, that I wasn't acting like a girl's girl, that I booked different flights, didn't hang out with them enough, and that I was selfish for not helping them with their kids. She even said I was just focused on partying and not acting my age. This message really hurt me. I cried after reading it, and I honestly don't know what to think. I thought I was just enjoying my vacation, but clearly they had a very different view. I haven't responded yet, and my husband has been asking what's bothering me, but I don't know what to tell him. Am I the asshole for how I acted during this trip?
I mean, sounds like a standard vacation how you would act.
Yeah.
Especially in Bali. They went to Bali, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, there's like another thing. Like, you can't go on vacation with everyone. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be very careful, especially long distances. It's like, it's one thing if you go on a cruise or like a road trip, but like going a long distance vacation, like, you have to really, really know the other people, and you gotta keep that group small. But like, if she's just enjoying her vacation and okay, she's drinking, so what? Like,
No, literally.
it's a vacation.
Yeah. Even, like, it doesn't seem like she was getting blacked out, but, like, even if she was getting blacked out, she's on vacation. Who cares?
She's not throwing up in a villa, like, constantly. Do they have kids?
The other 2 do.
Okay, so
Her and her husband are child-free.
they got upset because she wasn't taking care or helping take care of their kids. Like, that's your kids.
Yeah.
If we went on vacation and there's other couples there with kids, like, I'll entertain them, but I'm not
Like
going
10
to.
minutes.
Yeah, and then like, okay, deuces,
Yeah.
have fun. You know, but I'm not going to watch after your kids. That's your
Yeah.
responsibility.
You know what I think it is? I think it's honestly jealousy because of that.
They couldn't enjoy their vacation. I knew it.
I feel like it's like, dang, like I wish I was going out and like having fun. Like, I don't know.
True.
Not that you're not having fun with kids, but I feel like it's a different type of fun.
No, agreed, because she had the freedom to go out, and they wanted her to hang out with them and be stuck with them and be dry.
Yeah. Hang out with kids under 5.
In Bali.
Yeah.
Like, I went to Bali with my nieces, and they were fun, but, like, in the end, it was like...
Return to sender.
Return to sender, I'm going to go over here now, you know? Like,
yeah.
I get it.
I think that's what it is. And she even said, like, I was trying to be nice, and I got them massages so they could have a break from their kids. Like, she didn't even have to do all that. Like,
I think you're right. I think it is jealousy.
I think so.
That they didn't have the freedom that she did.
Yeah. They were like, oh, she was out till 1 a.m. Like, dang, wish I could have been out till 1 a.m.
But, like, let me tell her she's irresponsible.
Right. There is an edit on this post before I get into comments. Edit says, reading through the responses and seeing how many of you are upset on my behalf has made me reflect on how I initially planned to handle things. I was going to apologize, thinking it might be the easiest way to keep the peace. But now I realize that that might not be the right approach after all. I have also showed my husband, Jake, this post and the text message, and he told me to thank you for looking out for me. He's actually pretty angry on my behalf about the text message. I showed him some of the comments that gave him insight on how my friends might have been feeling, which has given us both a lot to think about. He asked me what I wanted to do next and if I wanted him to respond to the text for me. While I appreciated the offer, I told him I'm still thinking it over. He reassured me that he's here for me no matter what, and if I decide I want him to step in, he'd be ready to say something on my behalf.
Valid. What are the comments saying?
Let's see. Overall vote is very obviously not the
right.
Top comment agrees with us. Top comment says they're just jealous and expected you to lighten their childcare load.
Yeah.
Just because they have kids doesn't mean if you go on a holiday with them, you must stay and look after the children just because you're a woman. They need to tell you this BS to their husbands as well, because there's such a double standard there. I kind of agree with that, because I didn't even think about that. The last night, all the husbands went out.
I think that tipped the scale because she went out with them.
Fair.
And they're like, oh, great, now we're the boring
moms.
housewives.
Yeah.
You know, house moms. And I think they just got really jealous of it.
Yeah, I think so.
Or it may not even be jealousy. It could have been a notion of like, we're mature enough to not do that anymore. But
anyone who says that is just a liar, and they wish they were still in that like mindset. Fair. To be honest.
Yeah.
Because if you're like, oh, I'm too mature, I'm past all that. No, you just have a kid. Like
that. Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, I think lesson learned is don't go on vacation with these people ever again.
Yeah. You always gotta be careful who you go on vacation with.
Yeah.
Because you can't go on vacation with everyone.
True.
You know.
I remember you told me that a week after we started dating.
Yeah.
You said after we went on our first vacation, you said that was a test.
It was. Yeah. You really don't know how people are until prior to living together, until you go on vacation.
True.
Yeah.
I agree. That is all I have for us today, though.
Nice.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like and comment your take down below. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. We have a new podcast every Friday. Thanks.